Raju woke up with an unbearable pain in his left arm. He blinked through the haze of tears, his vision blurred by the dim light in the room. His body trembled as he looked down, where his right hand had been just hours ago. His right hand was now gone, amputated, replaced by a blood-soaked bandage. Panic surged through him. He tried to scream, but his voice cracked, swallowed by the sobs of other children around him. The room was filled with boys and girls, all as broken as he was. Some had bandaged stumps where legs or arms used to be, others just sat motionless, their eyes hollow, too scared to cry anymore. Raju's breath came in ragged gasps as he fought the terror clawing at his throat. His mind flashed back to that afternoon, chasing the blue kite through the narrow lanes, thinking nothing could go wrong. And then the van. The hands pulling him inside. The darkness. Now he was here, in this nightmare, where doctors in filthy white coats moved between the children like ghosts. No one asked questions, no one cared. It all started in the bustling city of Mumbai. A little boy named Raju lived with his family in a small, crowded slum. His days were filled with the sounds of rickshaws and the scent of street food, and he often played cricket in the dusty lanes with his friends. Life was hard, but Raju was a dreamer. He wanted to go to school, to learn, and one day become a teacher. His mother always said he had a bright smile that could light up the darkest alley. One evening, Raju wandered a bit too far from home. He was chasing a bright blue kite that had been snatched by the wind. The sky was dimming, the streets growing quiet, and suddenly, a black van pulled up beside him. Before he could scream, a hand clamped over his mouth, and everything went dark. When Raju woke up, he was in a dimly lit room with a throbbing pain in his arms. He tried to move, but his wrists were tightly bound. He looked around, and to his horror, saw other children like him, scared, crying, some with fresh bandages on their arms or legs. His heart pounded in his chest as he realized he was trapped in a terrible place. The days blurred together. Raju and the other children were given little food, and the sound of a saw slicing through bone became a dreadful routine. Doctors in dirty coats, their faces shadowed, moved from one child to the next, doing unspeakable things. One day, Raju woke up to find his right hand gone, replaced by a bloody bandage. This was when he met Amir. Alone and afraid, Amir was initially grateful when a kind older couple befriended him on his arrival in Mumbai. This chaotic urban sprawl is now India's largest city and home to more than 20 million people. More than 9 million of them live in slums, raising families in shacks built from rubbish on top of open sewers. For a homeless 12-year-old child freshly arrived from the countryside, it was a terrifying place to be. But like many on the Indian subcontinent, Mumbai will always be the city of dreams, a place of Bollywood film stars and gold-paved streets. It was certainly the image that brought Amir here. Amir left his slum home because his father was a violent drunk who treated Amir very badly. His mother had died a few years ago. The 12-year-old had sneaked onto a train bound for the city. And when he got there, he hoped to make his fortune. Prior to now, Amir has heard many amazing things about the city and was hopeful to get to the Mumbai. But it was not to be. Amir boarded and alighted at Mumbai Station, the city's main terminal and an architectural monument to the days of the British Raj. Amir was penniless and bewildered. He started begging for food. Within minutes, a couple emerged from the crowd and approached him. They gave him cakes and said they'd take him away to start a better life. He thought they were maybe social workers or religious people. he told me. But Amir's food was drugged, and when he became drowsy, the couple put him in a rickshaw and took him to the city's municipal hospital, which is where the real nightmare began. They learned, in whispers from the older children, that they were being mutilated to be turned into beggars. The doctors were part of a cruel syndicate that profited from amputating the limbs of the victims to attract the sympathy of tourists. Children with missing limbs could earn more money on the streets, begging for a pittance from those who would pity their broken forms. Weeks later, Raju and Amir were sent out onto the streets, pushed into the crowded marketplace with bowls in their only hand, with the amputated hands still in bandages. At the end of each day, the children are gathered and returned to the alley, where all the earnings from the begging were taken from them. One day, as Raju and Amir sat at the corner, Raju saw a kind-looking woman approach. She noticed the tears in his eyes and the defiant set of his jaw. She bent down and asked him his name. For a moment, Raju hesitated. He felt a spark of something, a chance, a hope. "My name is Raju, and this is my friend Amir," he whispered. The woman's face softened. She didn't walk away, and he knew she saw the child behind the broken body. "You both are coming with me," she said gently. And with that, a sliver of hope pierced the darkness. "This is a real social worker." She showed them his identity card, and the other women with her did too. Raju knew his journey was far from over, but he also knew they had found someone who would help them fight back against the cruelty that had stolen their childhood. They would not be forgotten, and they would not be silenced. The streets of Mumbai continued to hum with life, but somewhere in its crowded lanes, two boys with missing hands dared to dream again. The boys were taken to the government facility for children, where they go through rehabilitation. Just a few weeks into their stay, Raju and Amir are enrolled into school. The story of the two boys are just a drop in the ocean of this criminal pandemic, happening in India.